Okay guys, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce this next activity while you're still in your seats, and then after I introduce the activity, we're actually going to move out of our seats and we're going to get up and we're going to move around and we're going to have lots of fun. But I want to go ahead and introduce this activity to you guys while I know I have your full and undivided attention while you're sitting down. This activity is called a history exercise, Reasons for Colonization. During this activity, I'm going to be presenting a PowerPoint to you guys that will have a list of reasons for why the settlers decided to colonize in the United States of America prior to it being America. And then on each slide, under the reasons, there is going to be a balance pose. You guys are going to do your very best to do this balance pose, just like the picture on the slideshow. And during each pose, you're going to do your very best to breathe as much as you can. And you're going to listen to the reasons why these settlers decided to come to America. And then hopefully after this lesson, you will be able to remember why they decided to settle in America based off of the poses. You'll be able to think back about why they decided to settle and which pose was connected to it. So hopefully it'll be a good study tool for the future. And then plus two, we'll get to get up and get out of our seats and be active. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So what I want you guys to do is you're going to find a safe place in the classroom to spread out. I want you to try to get as far away from others as possible and make sure that you have plenty of room to move around, because we're going to be doing some stuff where we interact on different levels of balance. So you're going to be utilizing the floor and your own body parts. You shouldn't need any equipment for this activity. So go ahead and get settled in a safe place. Okay guys, let's go ahead and get started with this first slide. On this first slide, you are going to be putting your body into a lunge and turning your body sideways with your arms out like you're surfing. So, the first reason that the settlers decided to come to America was for political concerns. They had encouragement from rulers, which means that the British monarchs encouraged the development of colonies as new sources of wealth and power. They granted charters to groups of businessmen like the Virginia Company who offered to help colonists settle in the New World. So I want you to take this moment. I want you to just breathe, take in all the words that I'm saying. I'm going to go ahead and repeat them again just so that I can make sure that you heard me. So the first reason that the settlers came to America was for political concerns. They had encouragement from rulers. The British monarchs encouraged the development of colonies as new sources of wealth and power. They granted charters to groups of businessmen like the Virginia Company who offered to help colonists settle in the New World. All right, go ahead and take a big breath and return to just standing still. All right, our next slide has to do with economic concerns. For this balance pose, you are going to stand on one leg. You're going to put your foot, the tip of your toe, into your knee, and then you're going to hold your hands above your head like so. Okay, go ahead and find your pose and take a deep breath. The second reason that the settlers came to America was for economic concerns, hunger for gold and silver. Based on the success of Spain, the first colonists believed that gold and silver existed in great abundance in the Americas. These early adventurers came to the Americas in search of precious metals. So I want you to go ahead, take a deep breath, and I'm going to repeat the slide again. The settlers came to America for economic concerns, hunger for gold and silver based on the success of Spain. The first colonists believed that gold and silver existed in great abundance in the Americas. These early adventurers came to the Americas in search of precious metals. Right, go ahead, take a deep breath, and go back to just standing. All right, guys, this is the third reason that they came to the United States, okay? And it actually still has to do with economic concerns. So for this pose, you're going to go back into a lunge, and you're going to lean back with your arms above your head, okay? So go ahead, get into your pose, and take a deep breath. The colonists had land hunger. They believed that the colony settlements presented new business opportunities for merchants. The proprietors who owned the Carolinas encouraged people to come. Many came to own their own land. Most people in Britain, Ireland, and the rest of Europe were peasants and tenant farmers with small, overworked lands and high rent. In America, land still seemed plentiful. There was just lots of it. The settlers did not recognize the rights of Native American Indians or understand their use of the land. Many of the first settlers were given free land by the colony. Later, they were able to purchase land. Later, many colonists came as indentured servants. A colonial landowner paid for their passage across the Atlantic, and the indentured servant promised to work on the landowner's plantation or farm, usually for a period of 7 years. Once the debt was paid off, indentured servants obtained freedom and began saving to buy their own land. Okay, that one was kind of lengthy, so I'm not going to repeat it. So I want you guys to take a deep breath and return to a standing position. Okay, guys, the fifth reason that the settlers decided to come to the United States of America is for religious concerns. So for this particular balance pose, you are going to bend down and try to stretch your toes, and then you're going to walk your hands out in front of you until your bottom is all the way in the air. You should feel your back stretching, and this should be super relaxing. So I want you guys to go ahead, take a deep breath, and go ahead and get in that balance pose. All right, so the settlers decided to come to the Americas for religious concerns. They wanted freedom of religion. Protestant groups like the Pilgrims and Puritans came to the Americas to establish their own communities where they could worship God in their own way. Catholics, Quakers, and Jews later came to the colonies seeking freedom of worship. They just really wanted to be able to worship who they wished to worship and to have their own communities and their own safe place to voice their religious freedom. And they weren't getting that in Britain and the other areas of the world that they were in at the time. So go ahead, take one more deep breath. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that phrase for you one more time. So the settlers came to America for religious concerns. They wanted freedom of religion. Protestant groups like the Pilgrims and Puritans came to the Americas to establish their own communities where they could worship God in their own way. Catholics, Quakers, and Jews later came to the colonies seeking freedom of worship. Go ahead, take a deep breath, and return to that standing position. Okay, guys, this is the sixth and final pose and reason for the settlers coming to the Americas. This one is going to be pretty hard because you're going to stand on one leg and stretch your arms way out in front of you, making a 90-degree angle. So if you can't do this, it's okay. But I still want you to try your best, and I want you to take lots of deep breaths. If you have to refocus yourself, get yourself back into the position. If you kind of fall over, that's perfectly fine. Okay? So go ahead, take a deep breath, try to get into that pose, but if you can't do it, it's okay. Just listen, okay? So the sixth reason that the settlers decided to come to the Americas were for social concerns. They wanted a better life. Most colonists had faced difficult lives in Britain, Ireland, Scotland, or Germany. They came to the Americas to escape poverty, warfare, political turmoil, famine, and disease. They believed colonial life offered new opportunities. So I want you guys to go ahead, take a big deep breath. I'm going to repeat those reasons one more time. The colonists wanted a better life. Most colonists have faced difficult lives in Britain, Ireland, Scotland, or Germany, and they came to the Americas to escape poverty, warfare, political turmoil, famine, and disease. They believed colonial life offered new opportunities. Okay, that's the end of our slideshow. I want you guys to take a big, super big, deep breath. Return back to a standing position. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do next. Next, we are going to go back to our seats, and we are going to complete a 2 stars and a wish in order to cool down, because I know this activity got you guys super hot and probably a little tired, so we're just going to walk quietly back to our seats. When you get in your seats, I'm going to hand you the 2 stars and a wish handout, and whenever you get your handout, just write your name on the top of the paper. you're going to write 2 stars. 2 stars means that those are 2 things that you learned during this presentation today, during this activity, and then you're going to write 1 wish. 1 wish is something that you wish that you had learned during this activity today. Once you're finished writing those up, you're going to bring them up to me, and I'm going to put them away so that I can read them, and hopefully we can go over the things that you wished for later on. All right, guys, great job.